everyone, welcome to the Hard Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we got a returning guest with us. He's an author and a close friend of the show, and he has a third book out in his series, which is called Fubar Situation Normal. Listen, he's also have an amazing event that's coming to April 27th at the Marley Station Mall in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and it is called Halfway to Halloween. And they're showing two amazing movies there. One is starring me, this guy, Travis Bruce, and it is called Blood and Breakfast, and we're also be showing Shriek Show. I have with us Harry Carpenter. Harry, welcome back to the Horror Room.
Yay, I'm glad to be back.
It's a pleasure having you back, man. All right, so first, listen, let's jump into, we've got a big event coming in. Two amazing movies being shown, some great guests, some great authors, Halfway to Halloween. Tell us, my audience, a little bit about it.
So this is year 2. This is the sequel that nobody asked for. So we got this great idea because everybody kept saying we need more fright reads. And I said, well, all right. I got approached by Curmudgeon Books in Marley Station Mall. And he said, oh, you should run your festival here. And I was like, I'm not running the big festival here. But everybody said they wanted more. So we set up in the mall. I think it was in May last year. And it was halfway-ish to Halloween. And it was a knockout. We had great authors and we had great vendors that we just never saw at the main event. And my favorite reaction was, wait, you do another one of these? And I was like, how'd you find about the little guy before the big guy? We've been doing this for 3 years, and you're just now finding us through this little event. So it was fun enough last year, and we wrapped up the fall show. And I announced, I think 2 or 3 days after that, I was like, hey, Halfway to Halloween's back on the docket. And we're back. We're taking over an entire wing of Marley Station Mall. We have, based on our mistakes made last year, we're able to plan and set up better. So we're going to have over 100 vendors of authors, creatives, and whatever you can think of, and not to mention the as you said, your two favorite movies that are hitting the silver screen. We're going to have Blood and Breakfast, and we're going to have Shriek Show. And from both of them, we're going to have cast and crew, respectively, from each movie set up in our main room, and you'll be able to meet, Chris O'Brockie, Matt Burns. You'll be able to meet directors, and I don't know, the guy that operates the clapboard, whoever they send our way. You'll be able to meet these guys. They'll sign some videos and some stills and whatever they happen to have. The traditional fare at a convention. It's just kind of fun to bring in the little guy. Like, you're always getting like an Alec Baldwin or whatever at a convention. But what about the little guy? Let's bring in some indie actors and just have a good time. So you never know. And then you get to watch their movie, get a Q&A, and it might end up being your favorite movie. Who knows? But 100%. That's kind of the vibe that we go for. It's just a fun little intimate event at the mall. I'm going to say dirt cheap to get into it. Kids 12 and under always free with a paying adult. We're going to be doing the face painting that we always do. The arts and crafts table with Nikki, that's usually at our flagship event. She wants to bring it to the little guy, so we're taking it to Halfway to Halloween. So you can sit down and do some coloring pages and glue popsicle sticks together, whatever centers you and finds your zen. And all of that's in there.
And of course, I will be there walking around recording. So by the way, free autographs for me. I don't charge for autographs, but like
I'll charge for your autographs.
Yes, just pay Harry. Yes, but like I said last year, I saw the event and I wanted to go, but something happened. I couldn't go, but I'm going to be there this year because I have to, because my movie is playing. But also to support indie creators, and because I talked to a lot of, let's say, indie authors, and trying to get vendor space, and a lot of, you got StokerCon and AuthorCon. It's quite expensive, man. It's quite expensive. To get a booth and try to get in front of your audience and at least try to sell your books.
Yeah, that was part of the design because Fright Reads, my God, I mean, we're on year 5 for the flagship event. But year 1, I think our tables were like $25-$35, something like that, because it was just in the basement of a community center, and it was what it was. And then eventually we've grown to this large festival, like an empire, but that in a way alienated a lot of the authors that may not pull in the triple digits in sales, if you will. You know, they're not pulling in $400 and $500 and, you know, making big money where they can pay for a table, like, let's say, AuthorCon. And with AuthorCon, especially for me, I'm paying for the table. I also have to pay for a hotel, and then I got to drive down there. So it's a lot of headache and a lot of overhead, and then God forbid I got to eat. So, and you know, you can only McDonald's it up so much. So, so I take all of that into consideration, and I think that's where Fright Reads kind of benefits, because I have the old Hair Club for Men pitch. Like, I'm not only the event runner, I'm also a vendor. So I kind of see it from both sides, and I try to work with people on the payments for their, you know, for the big event. It's obviously a much more expensive table and a much more elaborate setup, but Halfway to Halloween was also kind of created to still take care of the little guy. We try to keep the tables inexpensive. It's a one-day show. I think it's like $60-$70 for the table, something like that. Trying to keep the price reasonable for a day. And I feel like any author selling a book at, you know, 10 to 15 a pop, you sell a half dozen books, you've broken even. And that's very realistic in my mind, that you should be able to sell 4 to 6 books at any given event. And if you can't, we also provide you those tools, because we always have some kind of marketing panel. How to sell your books at your table panel is definitely at Halfway to Halloween with Brian Paoni. So if you're not selling, go sit in at this panel and then go back to your table and start hustling. So I try to make sure that it's economical. And even at the big event, if you break it down, it's a 2-day show. You break down the cost, I think it's like 80, if it's even $80 a day. So it's very manageable in my mind. So yeah, it's definitely centered towards the little guy, the fledgling author that's just trying to figure their way out and isn't going to float in on this magic carpet called Stephen King.
Yeah.
And just like immediately sell books. You know, like somebody in World of Warcraft ejecting their gear, you know, like that's going to be, it's not as easy for a lot of up and comers. So that's really what Halfway to Halloween kind of caters to, especially.
And the great thing is you're having it at Marley Station Mall, which I know Marley Station Mall well, because I worked years on Ritchie Highway, and I used to and I'm a big movie fan, so I've been to the Marley Station Theater. I forgot what it's called now, but they done some renovations since the last time I've been there. And it's a really nice theater, and it's a nice mall. There's plenty of parking. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the stores there suffered from COVID. You know,
they suffered from a lot of things. It was poor mismanagement from previous ownership. They get squeezed out, essentially. I don't know how else to phrase it, but the rent got too high, the maintenance wasn't there, the care wasn't there, and you lost your big dog stores. You know, you lost your Victoria's Secrets and your FYEs and Hot Topic, Spencer's. You lost your staples. And with those guys gone, it trickles down, and then you lose your Forever 21 and your Abercrombie and whatever other stores. Hollister, I think, was in there. You lose they all just start to just see their way out the door, because there's less and less people coming, because the stores that they're drawn to are no longer there. And that's where we find ourselves today with the mall, is what's in there. For me, it's Bath and Body Works and Curmudgeon Books. That's it. Like, at that point, I'm like, well, I've seen all I can see, and I've made my rounds. It's a less than 20-minute trip through the mall, and it shouldn't be that. This should be an ordeal. This should be a shopping adventure. You know, sounds corny to say out loud, but like, it should be something. But I'm hoping that they can recover and put some stores in this mall over the next, 2 to 5 years and keep trucking. But until then, I'm going to use that empty hallway.
Yes.
Yeah. So my favorite comment to respond to is, it'll be like, halfway to Halloween at Marley Station Mall. Come visit us in an entire hallway and retail storefront. And I'll always get the comment, "That mall is dead, bro." I'm like,
it looks like something.
I know. That's how I'm here.
I didn't want to say that, but it looked like something like something really bad happened in that mall. Because like even like the food court, there's only one food place. I think there's like a Chinese food place or there's a pizza place.
There's Sparrow. Sparrow is going to go down the ship. Yeah. They're going to tear down that mall, and all that will be left is the Sparrow. So you got Sparrow, you got the China Bowl, which is right on that corner that you were mentioning. There's a Japanese spot, and then a couple of restaurants just come and go where the old Taco Bell used to be. And then like there's maybe 4, and I think rumor has it Auntie Anne's is coming back with some pretzels. Okay. Somebody spotted some boxes in their space, and it looked like new marketing, merchandising, and some equipment. Mm-hmm. So fingers crossed there will be 6 for halfway to Halloween. Yes. But yeah, but my answer is there's no way I would be here if the mall was thriving and flourishing. So correct. The fact that you have to make the comment, "The mall's dead, brah," it really is a moot point. Why don't you tell me that the fairgrounds doesn't have a fair going on too while you're at it? And it's like, yeah, I know, because we're having a book festival. I know they don't have a carnival or a rodeo happening. Yeah, I know. The venue has nothing to do with the event held within. I mean, the Hippodrome's pretty boring too if you're not watching a Broadway show. It's just a big empty building with a high ceiling and great acoustics. I mean, it gets really silly and nitpicky.
Yeah, it does. But I'm glad to see that you're having the event there. I'm glad to see you having an event there. I mean, because they're bringing some kind of attraction and attention to a mall that is, it's suffering, but it's suffering for a lot of reasons.
And China Bowl had my favorite story. So there were 2 stores that actually gave me some kind of feedback, and China Bowl was one of them. Because I went through and I was like, "So, did you guys see an influx of people? How are things?" China Bowl sold out of all of their bottled drinks.
Wow.
I want to say it was. I'm going to have to say it's like 80 to 90% of the vendors were doing that. Because I mean, we're sitting at the tables and we're getting thirsty, we're sweating, talking to people constantly. So we cleaned them out. I don't know how like Sparrow and the rest of them did because they were up and around the corner, but they were right there in eye line. So I guarantee you, them and the vending machine were bone dry by 8 o'clock at night. That, and I think it was Bath and Body Works because one of the guys up there I know. And we're talking about it all the time. And one of the things that I did for mall staff, we get a roster. You can pre-sign up, and we'll put you on our guest list. And you just come in from your, on your lunch break, or your shift ended at 3 or 4. Come down and hang out for free. What else you got to do at that mall? Make it worth your while coming to the mall and just stare into the void for your 8-hour shift. But they told me they got mobbed. Hot Topic was like when they were still there. They were there last year. They were like calling people in, like, we need people. Like, I need a mid shifter. This got nuts, and nobody could quite figure out what was happening until it was happening. They were like, "Oh, that book festival brought people in." 300 and some odd people through that door. Yeah, that mall hasn't seen 300 and some odd people in like 20 years.
Yeah.
They did just have a gaming event there, and that gaming event went really well. But I mean,
really?
Pokemon's Pokemon, dude. If you say Pokemon's happening anywhere, you're getting people there. But they cleaned up, and I think they kind of took a page out of my book. They're running in the same hallway, had a similar configuration. So being a trendsetter, it's a great way for the mall to make a little bit of like petty income. Like this is like small potatoes while having this empty space that's doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It's doing nothing but collecting dust and running electricity and letting the old people take a lap around it in the morning.
Yeah.
That's it. Use the space. So I'm happy that while the mall is still there, I can still utilize that real estate.
Now, and this is the first. This is the second year, but now this is the first year that you're going to be also working with two indie filmmakers and also showing their movies at the movie theater. So how did that come about?
So this was an idea that I had for the main show, and if anybody's followed the plight of Fright Reads itself, last year was man, if I didn't become an alcoholic last year, I had 5 venues just pull the plug on me, and I bounced around. We ended up at Benfield Sports Center. I love those guys to death for it, but we kind of outgrew it. The parking lot doesn't hold what we need. It's just there's a lot of things that we need that they can't provide. But if the mall was to say we closed our doors right after halfway to Halloween, guess where halfway to Halloween would move right to? It would be the right size. Because I don't try to go as bananas with it. But yeah, we ended up having to panic and eventually moved there. It was a lot of headache last year. So I got ahead of the curve this year, and I was like, I know we need to move, but I can't move to those 3 locations that were absolute just total dicks to me. So what does that leave me with? That leaves me with the DoubleTree that everybody's been kind of rocking, like StellarCon and Farpoint, and I think what's the Pop and Horror used it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the floor plan. It's not good.
It's not.
They have it's shaped weird. I hate buildings that are shaped weird. I hate having to work in this like Tetris looking configuration. And it just doesn't seem to have the floor space conducive to a convention, period.
Yeah.
If you're really, 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 really low key, maybe. But, I mean, Farpoint's been running for like 50 plus years. StellarCon always draws a 1,000,001 people, it feels like. And when you try to cram them all into a tiny building. So I ruled that one out immediately. I was like, well, I can't do that. So I looked at both fairgrounds. I looked at the Timonium, the Maryland State Fairgrounds. I looked at those guys. I looked at Howard County. And there was another one that I had on the docket. It was down in Halethorpe. It was I think it was like they called it an arena, and I was like, bro, this is a banquet hall.
I'm about to say Halethorpe. Shit. Okay.
I would have been all about it. Yeah. Like, so the only difference this year from that would have been the fact that I couldn't put the vehicles inside. This year with the fairgrounds, I'm able to drop in, the DeLorean, Ecto One, whatever we can drive inside, we can do that. I couldn't have done that with the other place. But the idea that I had, they had this like separate room that was completely curtained off, that had its own private bar. It had like popcorns and concessions. And I was like, what if we just showed movies in here? Like straight up, just movies all day. We could just go from movie to movie to movie. And you could add it to your ticket. You get a second wristband, whatever it costs. And, it would have been like, $5 to $10 or something. It'd probably been like 15 for the whole day, or you can get a specific movie. However that was going to work out, we get the rights from whoever wanted to come play. And I know Chris O'Brocki was kind of the cheerleader for getting Shriek Show, since he's the ringmaster or ringleader or whatever verbiage his character's name is. He was very vocal about that, and I was like, this is a dope idea. They ghosted me. I couldn't get a hold of the venue. They were like, we're going to check with the owners, and I don't know, they left the country, murdered horribly, I don't know. Like, they just vanished. And then I finally got all hands on deck to go, like, pester the fairgrounds. I was like, somebody has to reply to me. And they finally were just like, all right, geez, fine, twist our arm. And then that was it. So that idea stuck with me. I was like, I think that'd be pretty cool the movie theater's just down the hall.
Literally.
Why don't I talk to Horizon? So I hit them up, and they were like, well, what movies would these be? Would these be something that is in theaters, or do you have to? I said, no. These are straight up just indies. I'd be talking to the producers, the directors, whoever, the guys that could bobble their head and say yes. And I booked out a one theater room. It's like 45 seats, I think, 40 to 45. And we booked that out twice over, and we're going to throw the 2 movies in there and host a Q&A right before everything pops off if anybody wants to ask any questions. I think I'm debating if it's going to be before the movie or after the movie, because I want them to be able to Q&A without people going, I got things to do, and then bail halfway in. I want them to hit the Q&A.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where that came about. And my favorite little bit of trivia. So Chris O'Brockie hits me up and he says, "Oh man, I used to work in that movie theater." So Chris worked at the Regal Cinema, what it used to be way back when. I had a bunch of friends that worked there. They all know each other. I was asking him different names, and he's like, "Yeah, I used to work with that guy. Yeah, I know her." Now he's gone off to do movies and stuff, and movies and television and other acting, endeavors. Full circle. The man started at the theater. He ended up back at the theater, but on the other side of the screen.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of a weird roundabout way to show the movies there, but it all got inspired because a venue had a pretty niche little room idea that I kind of held on to, and I was like, that'd be pretty damn cool. What if we were able to show the movies and then everything went, bottoms up, and I had Halfway to Halloween and Horizon Cinemas, and I'm trying my best to get as much of the mall involved, whether they're telling people, putting up a flyer at their counter, anything. And the best involvement I can get is if the movie theater puts the posters up on the little LED digital display. I don't know, go into the computer and just click and drag. I'm sure it's not that labor intensive. But show the movies and say, at Halfway to Halloween, get your tickets online, whatever. I think that would probably be the most beneficial thing for the people that do trickle through that hallway. They'd see that there's these indie movies being played and maybe spark some interest and support, the local arts.
I agree. Now, I don't work in Glen Burnie anywhere, but I work in Millersville. And in Millersville, I would see your sign just randomly. I would just be driving down Veterans Highway, and I'd be seeing the Fright Race signs. Some I had them illegally all over the place. I'm like, what is this Fright Race thing? This is before I interviewed you and knew what Fright Race was. I was like, what the hell is this Fright Race thing? But that's how I first came to one of your shows, was because I was just driving to work, and there was these little signs all over the street telling my Fright Race. I Googled what it was. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
See, you Googled what it was. So that'll teach you, Brian. Brian, if you're watching, Brian. So I got new signs made for Halfway to Halloween that we're going to put up and down Ritchie Highway. And he's like, how were they going to find out where the event is? And I was like, bro, it's Marley Station Mall. If they can't figure out where Marley Station Mall is, right there on that stretch, basically from games and stuff up to the Hobby Lobby area, then you probably need to reevaluate everything.
Yes.
But yeah, he's like, but it doesn't have the website. And I'm like, I don't think that matters, because at no point in time have I, retained a website from a sign, nor have I pulled it up and been like, www.imgonadieinacaraccident.com. I'm not doing that. But just like you said, you saw it and you were like, Fright Reads Book Festival. And you probably lost the book festival part of it by the end of the day, but you remembered something about Fright Reads.
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember the full title of Monster Mania Horror Convention. You just remember Monster Mania. You don't remember the whole handle for something, but you'll remember just enough. You throw that thing in Google or something, and it'll pop right up, and Lord knows it comes up with plenty of results.
Yeah, I just typed in Fright Race. Millersville, Maryland, and boom, it was right there.
And that's where you saw the sign, so it only makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad that the signs work. So there's a local sign maker that I'm working with now, instead of giving Vistaprint more of my money, because Lord knows they have plenty. Yes, take care again, everything's very indie centric, trying to work with the little guy, the local guy. So we got Mr. U Signs cranking out some signs for us. So he actually delivered them to an author signing that I was doing, which was totally awesome. And I was like, what? They're just simple enough to work, and they came out really good. So I'm pretty excited to. I can't do it more than a month in advance. And yes, I understand that in two days or 1 day, it's technically 1 month in advance. But I'm going to hit April 1st. You're just going to see halfway to Halloween, all up and down Ritchie Highway. You're just going to be like, I know that event. Hey, there he is again. Hey. So that's at least my goal, and it does make me happy to know that that's literally the goal of the sign, was to say Fright Reads Book Festival. And then you just remember that piece, and then you can look at it. If you're at a red light, which is where I strategically try to place them, you can kind of go like horror, horror, this, that, and the other. Oh, books, okay, crafts, cool. Kids 12 and under free, okay. You can kind of pull in a couple of things that might make you retain that you want this information for when you park.
Yes.
So I'm glad the signs work.
Yeah, because there's absolutely nothing in Millersville, Maryland, except for the crematory, which I work at. But there's nothing in Millersville, Maryland at all. And I was like, what the fuck does Millersville, Maryland have a horror? Have an author con? That's interesting. Where is it?
And Benfield is in the middle of nowhere, to be very honest.
It really is.
Center is, you go across a bridge.
Yes.
Turn into an industrial park, and there it is. So
and there's no sign. There's no sign or anything. You just like park on the side. I remember this year I parked on the side of the fucking road. There was no parking going up into that. I almost like went into a ditch almost where you had to park.
Yeah, that's 100% what you can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's that side road. It's Najole's Road right there on the backside, and you just walk up the hill and come in.
Yeah.
And so many people complained about the parking, and that's 1,000% the motivation to move to literally anywhere that had a parking lot. But thankfully the fairgrounds is like right in front of the building, so we'll be able to even make our own if we need to, handicap spots. Like we can actually extend more. I mean, we tried to make one extra, and out of the 13 spots that we had total, how does that even work? And then somebody already snatched that up, so it meant nothing. And somebody's like, you don't offer handicap spaces. I said, we offer 5, technically 4, but we made one, and they're all taken. What do you want me to do? Come here earlier. I don't know what to tell you. Get here at open.
Exactly. Now you got some big news about this year's Fright Reads. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh, the big dog. Yeah.
Yes.
So I try not to use the phrase, the big show and the little show, because they're both pretty sizable shows, but it's hard not to do that. One of the things that I do with Halfway to Halloween, I try to steer clear of having a heavy hand with celebrity guests and special authors and all of these other things. I try to just keep it's the indies, it's local folks, and that's kind of what I want to do with it. Now, Fright Reads Book Festival proper, on the other hand, we've had in the past, we had the People Under the Stairs, we had the Clerks cast, we've had a lot of awesome people come through, and we bring in a lot of cool authors. So this year, we'll go with books first. We're bringing in, because I'm not going to lie, I want to capitalize on the fact that this movie's dropping soon. Adam Caesar, the writer of the hopefully hit movie in May, Clown in a Cornfield. So we're going to have him. So when you go see that movie, get hype, and then keep that energy all the way till September, and then get movie posters, DVDs, the books, everything signed by that guy. So I'm excited to have him coming back. We're going to be bringing in Jeff Strand and Bridget Nelson again. From what I've heard, we're their only event. They're not doing a book tour. They're not driving around. They're not flying into different places. They're driving down to Fright Reads down here in little old Maryland and driving back. Like, that's it. There's no grand tour. It's just the one show. So we're going to have those guys. And I thought it was funny because I talked to Jeff. He was born in Baltimore City.
Okay.
Quickly left.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I was like, come on, man, let me use the local angle. Let me just say, you were born in Baltimore. And he's like, And I was like, come on, man. But they're fantastic authors. If you're looking for, something that you shouldn't be laughing at and it's really messed up, Jeff Strand, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for something that's just messed up, that's just for the sake of being messed up, Bridget Nelson's books. So they're going to be absolutely fantastic. We also brought in if you're familiar with a book called The Science of Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the authors that wrote that. They did it's called The Science of, insert word here. Stephen King, they've done Agatha Christie. They do a bunch of, big top tier, top dog genres and authors. They kind of break it down. So they talk about, with The Science of Stephen King, they kind of get into the nitty gritty with some of his big heavy hitters like The Shining, The Stand, and they really break it down, like quite literally the science of, like, what is some of the rhyme and reason behind some of these things. And it's a really interesting read. So it's Kelly Florence and Meg Haftel. They're going to be coming in. So you get the two of them, and they've written other stuff respectively individually, but they do have this series together. So pretty excited to have that. I think that's all of my authors that I've gotten in there. There could be some more trickling in between now and September. But at least those are the ones that are fully confirmed. Got some on the docket that I'm excited to share, but I can't. And then we got the movie side. So I'm hype. I made a post a couple of days ago where I said somebody complained about I think it was the variety and like the just chaos, the chaotic nature of who I book. I literally book people that I think are cool. These are movie stars and actors and stuff that I think would be cool. You know why Brian O'Halloran was there? Because I love Clerks. Does it make sense? No, I don't care. I 100% have gone on record. I will abuse my power. I am a convention that can book people, and I'm going to book people that I like within budget. But yeah, I will tell you that year that we booked the Clerks guys, best year of my life. We had a great time at dinner with them. We sang karaoke. My buddy Ryan, who runs the AV stuff and is usually at my table off and on at different events, he has the greatest thing because he does karaoke, and he brought the karaoke up, and Brian O'Halloran goes up to him and he says, yeah, I want to do Return of the Mac. It's for Brian. And Ryan is equally, if not more, of a Clerks fan than I am. And he just, in his head, went, I know who you are. But it was just that very grounded moment of, he didn't assert, don't you know who I am? He was like, yeah, and it's for Brian. Just slid a little note over, it's for Brian. It's like, wow, what a humble dude. Like, yeah, we know who you are, but just to be to that level. So it's people that I just think would be cool to meet. And like, I wanted to meet Sean Whalen. Let's just be honest. That was for me. I love Twister. I love everything that man's touched. So this year is no different. Also, if Billy Bryan, Stay Puft the Marshmallow Man too, Ghostbuster nut. If you can't tell, I may like it just a tad, just a tad. I may have seen the movie once. So this year, I literally book for my friends, my staff and me. I think, who did I get that was for me? Did I get in? Oh, Stolhansky. I was like, who did I get for me? So I got Eric Stolhansky from Broken Lizard. He played more mainstream wise. He played the rookie Rabbit from Super Troopers, which everybody I think would know that a little bit more. And then followed by Beer Fest would probably be the next big name.
Yeah.
But I brought him in for his particular role in Club Dread. So if anybody dings me on the horror connection, he was in Club Dread in a very prominent role that is very, very unique and specific for this type of event. I love Club Dread. Just
love it.
Club Dread. So his agent, I think he said his daughter's name is Penelope. So he actually named his daughter, instead of Penelope, it's Penelope, or at least he calls her that. So that's why that happened, was because of that movie, and he's just a massive fan of that franchise as well. So I brought in Stolhansky. I was like, any of the Broken Lizard guys that I can get, these are goals for me. I just want these guys to come have a good time. I somehow want to con one of my staff into doing a syrup chug off with me while Stolhansky judges it.
See, that would be amazing. I would love to see that.
You could participate. I don't care.
I will.
I just want somebody to go against. We're just little bottles. We're not doing the big Aunt Jemimas. We're gonna do little ones. But I'm not stupid. I don't need to be ill all weekend. But I just think, for the sake of what it is, we go up on the stage and it's like 3, 2, 1, let's do it, and then just boom.
Yes.
And then have Stolhansky judge it. Oh my God, that would be fantastic. Maybe at the end of his panel. That's future me's problem. But we got him, and then my head of security is a absolute diehard Frankenhooker fan. So I locked in Patty Mullen. So I got Frankenhooker herself. Nice. And then one of the authors that has been with the event since the second year, and the one that I called out, author Brian Paoni, said, do you know Troma films? And I was like, I mean, not all of them, but probably like the big 5, and then a few peppered in, like Bloodhook and the things that you shouldn't be watching because they're just really dumb and silly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, do you know Tromeo and Juliet? And I said, yeah, I'm familiar. That's the movie with the guns in it, right? James and Sean Gunn. Mm-hmm. And that's like one of their first movies. I don't know if it's their very first movie, but it's in the early ages of them.
Yeah, the early stages.
Juliet was played by Jane Jensen. That's one of his old music buddies. Like, Brian knows, he literally knows everybody in the music industry. Not really, but like, I feel like he's like, oh yeah, that's my old college roommate. You know, he'll just bring up these names all the time. Like, I got a video because I jokingly said that I karaoke Right Here, Right Now by Jesus Jones. He's friends with Jesus himself, Mike, the lead singer. Whoa. And I got an insulting video from Mike. I did not see that coming. I was like, what is this, Jesus Jones insulting me? And he's like, you'll stop doing my song, stop ruining it. And like, I learned the backstory. My man is sitting in a baby car seat in the back of a minivan talking trash. And I was like, wow, knowing the other half of that, I don't know if that makes it better or if it hurts more. But yeah, I mean, it's all in good fun. So he connected me with Jane Jensen, Juliet herself, who was in one Troma film and had a successful music career to follow, doing soundtracks for TV shows and movies. She soundtracked The Crow. I mean, just like this amazing, still active music career. So it's just little things like that. And I'm pulling in people that I'm like, oh, dude, that's cool. So yeah, those are the ones that we got. And by the time you get this out in the world, the announcement will have already hit. Beatrice Bopple, Mrs. Kruger.
Love Beatrice.
So we'll have Miss Kruger. Beatrice is fantastic. She's such a nice person. Awesome. I've heard nothing but great things. Yes. Most of them were from Matt, so he has to say those things. But I take his word on it. She seems like a lovely person. And I'm excited too because one of the things we did last year, we had stuntman and actor Bill Perry. I don't know if you got to talk to him, but
I've had him on my show.
Oh yeah,
yeah, in person, yeah.
So Bill is fantastic. I mean, he's done everything, all the insane stunts that the Wonder Years required. That's my favorite piece of trivia. He did stunts for the Wonder Years, and I'm like, for what?
Like what? No.
There was a scene where he had to jump into a bush. Yeah. He literally had to jump into a bush for Paul for the Wonder Years. So yeah, I was like, okay, I have questions. I need to know about these stunts, and we found the videos and made him reminisce. But one of the unique things about Bill was he had, and will soon be, a movie that I think he's involved in, not only writing it, but I think he's in it. But he has a book series. The first one is called By His Hand. And he has a book at a book festival.
Mm-hmm.
You don't often get an actor that is bringing a paperback novel. And I think he had 2 of them at the time. And then soon to have his own movie to sell, which is pretty cool. But
Yeah.
Beatrice is in that category, and I love that. And hers is even more like niche because it's a 100% what if book. Like, what if I just gave, I gave Freddy Krueger's mama an entire backstory. I just wrote this woman's whole existence into a book, where she fully assumes Amanda Kruger's life. Like, Beatrice saw the world through her eyes and wrote this book out. And that's super niche and super awesome because if you're a Nightmare fan, that's going to be just cool as hell. Plus, if you're just a reader, period, I'm sure it's going to be a fun read. And then you can meet the author / actress. You can meet Amanda Kruger herself, so to speak. So she brings something really unique to the table that I think I look for more if I can get a Hollywood type that has a book that's super marketable for a book festival, as the name dictates. So we have at least those guys on the docket. We're looking at, there's a bunch more that are going to get greenlit from here until, like, I don't know, probably August and easily into September sometimes because people like to wait or contact me last minute, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you'd be fun. Let's go. So it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of good people up there.
And now, do you want to make a little announcement for the guest that you're working on for me?
Oh, the guy for you. So specifically for Travis, and it's going to be in the contract. If nobody goes to see this person, please go see Travis and be like, it's your fault. You did this. So because I have a couple of connections to trauma people at this point, I have, Jane is coming in with her Romeo and Juliet connection. I'm friends with Monique Dupree, and we're working it out on the schedules, and I'm talking to them about coming down because this is before this other piece became a factor. But I was like, man, if you get enough trauma people in the same room, I think you can summon Uncle Lloyd. It's like, instead of putting out like a circle on the ground, you just have enough people around and his ears will start to burn and he'll want to be there. So lo and behold, we might have Uncle Lloyd, Lloyd Kaufman of Troma Films, the man behind Toxic Avenger and a million other trash films that I love to death.
Yes.
Well, Nukem High. I mean, we can just go on the list forever.
Sergeant Kabuki Man, which is my favorite.
Geez. May he rest in peace, by the way.
Yes.
But yeah, just stupid, amazing films. Like, you can't say that they're artistically amazing. They're stupid, but they're the best. They're the best stupid movies ever. I'm a sucker for that. Like, so I like stuff like Velocipaster.
I love Velocipaster.
That's such an asinine movie.
It's such a great movie, especially if you're high. Watch that movie high and
I think you should watch it not high first because you need to know what you're about to do for your second watch. Because I was
laughing so hard. I was laughing so hard, but I was focused. It was great.
Bro, I wasn't high. And the final fight scene with all of the ninjas, where he's in this ill-fitting
the head is just like this.
Suit, the head dangling, and you can see the top of his head is like at the neck. So it's got this giant lump, and they're just like poorly like grabbing nunchucks from each other, and it's so bad. And I absolutely love that kind of stuff. And we watched Bloody Hook, because I was like, y'all need to watch some trauma films and educate yourselves and get some culture in your life. So this movie is, to say stupid might actually not be severe enough. But I say the cliche, someone died tragically and they have a hook and they kill people with a hook by fishing. So there's a scene that we just made fun of because it's this lady that goes out to the pier and she's like a bird watcher and it's late at night and you're already looking at it like this lady's about to get it. There's no way around this. This lady's going to get it. and she starts calling for the bird, and she's out there going, oh, no, 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 oh, no, no, no. And I don't know why, I'm just done. I'm in tears, and I'm just like, it's such a bad bird call, and I'm laughing so hard. It's a fun movie. I'm not going to say it's not poorly made. These movies aren't poorly made. They're just low budget, just clean, fun, just stupid. Just stupid.
With no sense at all. Make no sense.
But you're enjoying it. And that's half the movies I love.
I'm going to make a request for what would be next year.
Okay.
Birdemic. Have you seen Birdemic, the Birdemic movies?
Trying to capitalize on Sharknado. Yeah.
If you could get the director for that, I saw the documentary. If you could get him, that would be amazing. That'd be so fucking random. That'd be so random. And I would love it. Yes.
Birdemic. So what? Who was the guy?
It's the director.
Birdemic. Like, Shock and Terror. There are more. Why are there more of them?
There's 3 of them. Watch the documentary of the director, and it's the most fascinating thing ever.
So it's basically the birds on steroids. James Wan. Man, I don't know. Vietnamese filmmaker. Is he like in Vietnam?
No, he's in this. I think he's in New York.
He's around here, right?
Yeah.
But it's like he is a Vietnamese filmmaker, and I'm like, in Vietnamese?
I mean, his English is not from the documentary. His English is not that great, but
yeah, he's from Da Nang, Vietnam.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
That'd be so fucking random. But I see that
be very random.
Yeah, because I saw that.
What? Hold on, I'm going to stop you because I went on to IMDb because I have IMDb Pro and I can go down some rabbit holes with some things. Mm-hmm. Birdemic the musical?
What?
It's pre-production. Birdemic the musical.
Ooh.
I just wanted you to know that is possibly a thing. Oh, dude, I can directly contact him. I have his email. So the answer is not no, but it's a we'll see.
Okay, but if you can't get him there, at least get me an interview with him. I would love an interview with him. See if you can line those. I mean,
if you don't have the pro level connection stuff, I can send you that in the email. That's not an issue.
Yes, that'd be perfect.
I mean, it's public knowledge more or less if you pay for it. I just need to know. Well, some of the celebrities that I try to get, I don't know how to get to them. Mm-hmm. And like, you'll go to their website, you'll view their social media, any means to try to find them, and you're like, who represents you? How do I talk to you? Like some of the ones that I've directly reached out to because I can't find out. Mara Wilson, I literally tried to bring in Matilda, and I was like, I'd kill for some Matilda, dude. So I directly reached out to her, and in most cases, like what happened with Sean Whalen, I didn't know who runs the show behind the scenes. I was like, hey, Sean, I know Crust is coming out, and I'm a huge fan of like any of your work that I've seen that you're directly in. Would you like to come down to the book festival? You know, let's talk, or put me in touch with whoever pulls the strings, and we'll get her rolling. I think that next day, his agent Lucas was like on the horn with me, not 24, 48 hours later, sorting it out. And then getting me to bring in the fairy godmother too. So yeah, I mean, it's like if it works that way, that's how it would work, and I love when it works that way, and I can get moving. Then there's other ones where I'm just like, hello, Bueller. But I try to, I reach for the stars, and sometimes I pull back nothing. Sometimes I get somebody. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I always like there's random filmmakers, like even like a Velociraptor filmmaker. I would love to interview him to find out just what was behind his, the inspiration towards those movies and so forth. What was it like filming those movies?
Velocipastor is the one with the pimp, right? He had it was Jimmy the Fish because he's swimming in bitches. Wasn't that his catchphrase? He was like Jimmy the Fish or something. God, I have to know now.
Velocipaster?
Because there
Velocipaster was
he had a hooker in the movie though, right? Like, wasn't?
Oh yes. He was in love. Yes.
Wasn't he Jimmy the Fish or something? I feel like that's from that movie. Like I said, I watch so many dumb movies. They all just start.
I watch a lot.
They all just start to move into like one big blurb. But I feel like his name was like Jimmy the Fish or something. Because his like catchphrase was like, "I'm Jimmy the Fish because I'm swimming in bitches," and I thought that was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard, and I was like, I love
it. If you love Velocipaster, watch Pan Man. I did a review of it on my To Be Tuesday. I think it might be the only To Be Tuesday movie that I give a 5 out of 5. And like, I've had people messaging me like, "This is the stupidest ass movie. Why do you give this 5 out of 5?" I'm like, I'm giving a 5 out of 5 because it is the greatest, stupidest movie I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's made 100%. To be ridiculous. You know what I mean? This was not a movie like, for instance, like Birdemic, where you watch the documentary filmmaker. He made his movie to be good, and it turned into that. Yeah. No. Pan Man and Velocipaster, you can tell that was their intention for their movie to be that way.
I'll throw you a curveball for a movie that has no right to be as good as it is because it's really stupid. Rubber.
The one with the tire.
Yes, the one with the tire that has psychic powers to kill people.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm just looking at it from the production side. Like, some dude is off camera just rolling a tire, and it's just like rolling down the street, and then it'll fall over, and then just like explode somebody's brain. And it's if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it.
But that's a movie.
It's the dumbest movie I've ever seen, but it's so well done. It's like it's a tire. Like you're mainly following a tire. And that's your story. Yes. You're not following a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. You're following a friggin' tire.
That's one of those movies that I was like, what kind of drugs was the filmmaker on while making this? Because like it was some heavy drug used.
Yeah. Another good one. So it's terrible. And I'm going to say it's terrible from all standpoints. Mm-hmm. But you have to appreciate the things that they did. And all of a sudden, it goes from a 1-star movie for me to a 5-star when you start really observing it. Llamageddon.
Never seen it.
All right. So my favorite quote comes from this movie. But you're watching it, and the premise is it's these alien llamas. The filmmakers literally were only able to pay for enough footage of the one llama, and then they superimpose like glowing eyes onto it. And it's the same pose, the same picture every single time. The llama is never in the same shot as anybody else. It's just a cut to the same, like, half of an upper torso of this llama. And it's so poorly done that it's just laughable. But that's not the part that saved it for me. Because I was already, like, kind of disassociating from the movie. I was like, man, this is stupid. So I started kind of watching it. And there's a dude in the movie, every time the camera cuts from him and cuts back to him, he's wearing a different shirt. So at first I was like, what in the continuity is this garbage? Y'all couldn't even get the man to wear the same Legend of Zelda shirt? And then they cut again and he's wearing like a Nintendo Power shirt. And then the next time he's got, some meme shirt. And I was like, oh, no. This was supposed to happen. This is intentional. This was the cast and crew going, dude, it'd be funny as hell. And they ran with it. This man brought his whole closet with him.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I'm just saying, like, this wardrobe change, there might have been like 75 to 100 wardrobe changes that we were able to witness. Because anytime that the camera leaves him, and like if they're talking in a circle and they, we have to get out of here. That llama's going to kill us. He's in a different shirt already. And you're just like, my man was just wearing a red shirt. What's going on? But the quote that I loved was somehow it doesn't spoil anything because none of it makes sense anyway. So you just need to watch it like a car crash. Just you have to see it. So in Llamageddon, they run away from the house that they're in, that they're having this like flop party at, as most stories do. Mm-hmm. They end up making their way back. A group of them refused to run away because it's not even a big deal. So they were all in the hot tub. and they're all kind of getting freaky deaky in the hot tub, having a good old time, whatever. And somehow the llama triggered an electrical surge, and it fried all of them in the hot tub. And one girl came over and saw them and ran into the house and went, "They're all dead in the hot tub!" And nobody listened, and then she just kept screaming, "They're all dead in the hot tub!" So that's my favorite quote. They're all dead in the hot tub.
I love it.
It's so dumb. Like, there's zombievers. I mean, this stuff is like in the neighborhood of Piranha. They're just bad. They're just bad for the sake of bad.
Now, I have a question here. I got one last question to ask you.
Yeah.
One movie series that I loved growing up. It was called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I mean, just horrible B trash.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah.
How come we don't see them at any con appearances or anything like
that? Well, it's an old movie. Like, it's an old movie. Like, wasn't that like way old?
80s? It was like late 80s.
Is it 80s? I thought it was like pre-80s. I thought it was like 70s.
Because they even had a cartoon that came out in the 90s. I remember watching the
No. 1978. So yeah, 80s.
Really?
But yeah, 70s. Yeah, I thought it was older than that. So it may be a health reason. I don't ever see those guys doing the circuit. But I got the next best thing. I got the guy that wrote the novelization that nobody asked for. Jeff Strand wrote the book version of the movie.
Really?
That apparently was in high demand somewhere. One guy asked for it, and they were like, "Well, what's Jeff Strand got going on today?" So yeah, he wrote Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. We actually kind of drove him nuts by having Attack of the Killer Tomatoes loop as we introduced him, and I was like, "Ryan, please stop the music," and he's like, "It won't stop. It froze up." So you're just sitting there, rum dum 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 rum dum dum dum, and you're just sitting there like, "Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, attack!" And like it's just on repeat, and you're just like, "Oh no, oh no!" I was like, "Turn the speaker off, anything, kill the power."
That's painful.
But yeah, he did the graphic novelization. So while we may not be able to get the cast, yeah, I don't think you're right. I don't think I've ever actually seen them in the wild.
No, because I see the Revenge of the Nerds group. They're making a lot of appearances. They've been making a lot of appearances at horror cons within the last 10 years. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because I grew up on those movies in the 80s and early 90s. But Attack of the Killer Tomato, I actually, when it comes to that, I fell in love with the cartoon first. So the cartoon came out in the 90s, and then I watched the movies. But the same thing happened with Toxic Avenger. I never saw any of the movies. Toxic Crusaders, the cartoon came out.
Yeah.
And that's how I got introduced to Toxic Avenger, was through the cartoon.
So I went down a quick rabbit hole just trying to click some of the names. And Wilbur Finletter, the character, played by Stephen Peace, former California state senator. My man went from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes to holding down the fort in California.
That's impressive.
So that could also be another thing, because who was it? We were talking about cartoons. The X-Men, the old 95 cartoon, the OG. Jean Grey I believe it's Jean Grey, is a politician in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, like that's what she was doing at the time, I think, or shortly after. Because I was talking about I wanted to bring the X-Men people in, because I was like, superheroes fits in with our fantasy sci-fi angle, so I mean, I'm cool with that. And I talked to Cal Dodd.
Yeah, I met him at StellaCon a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I hit it off with Wolverine, and I was like, I may look to bring the rest of the crew in. And they were telling me, like, oh, she has to travel with an entourage. I got to buy flights for all of them. And I was like, oh, oops, we're going to time out on that because she's a politician. Mm-hmm. I don't want that on me should something, not that it would, but should something befall her in my care. I'm like, I don't want that on me. No. Yeah. I don't need anybody that high profile. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look around for any grassy knolls. You know, we want to make sure everything's fine. But yeah, that's how I found that out. I was like, no shit. But yeah, like I just learned. I was like, oh, dude, you were a senator? Shut up. And
Who knew?
your what were your credentials? Like this one time, I stopped a tomato invasion.
Yeah.
I was a lead scientist.
I love
But
those movies as a kid. Love those movies as a kid.
it's wild that movies that really aren't for kids got transcended into adorable cartoons of the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
Ninja Turtles. Excuse me. Ninja Turtles is not for kids in the original iteration.
Correct.
The Eastman iteration, not for kids. Like that is a bloody black and white, just gritty comic. And then we get these like cowabunga, dude,
Yeah.
totally tubular, you know, and you get these like corny little over the top cartoon versions, and it's like Toxie was kind of the same way with the Crusaders.
I was traumatized. So like my younger sister and I want to say
You were traumatized.
Yeah, so I was traumatized. I want to say I was like we were like 6 or 7, right? And we had the Toxic Crusaders.
Yeah, the toys.
With the action figures and so forth.
Yep.
And our older sister,
the van or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yes, had the bad guys had the and our older sister. She was 8 years. She was like 8 or 9 years older than us, so she was 18. So she was able to go to the video store for us, and she was like, "Well, you know, there's a movie series based on that cartoon." I was like, "There is?"
What?
She was like, "Yes," and then she brought home, and I remember this. It was a day before Thanksgiving. She brought home Toxic Avenger Part 3. So that was the first one I saw.
Okay. Oh, you didn't even go for number 1. You hit
the
third.
Went straight 3. And I remember the scene. It was right in the beginning when he punched and pulled that guy's intestines out. Yep. And the one guy, he put his hand in the fucking VCR and was kind of. I was like, "Oh my goodness, what the fuck is this? Is not Toxic Crusaders. What the fuck is this?
Where's my little cartoon? Where's my innocent cartoon? Please?
Yes, I was like, "Where's the snot guy with a big nose? This is a horror movie."
Yeah, they're so it's wild because that is one that the mainstream kids market never morphed the subsequent sequels into something that was more for kids. Mm-hmm. Whereas, you know, Ghostbusters number 2 was 100% panned around the fact that the cartoon was such a success.
Yes.
They made the changes where they weren't smoking or drinking anymore, or like very, very minimal. The swearing is definitely down.
Yes.
And my favorite change was because they didn't draw a mustache on Winston. Ernie Hudson had to shave his fabulous flavor saver. Mm-hmm. That gave him his power, I feel like. That gave him his strength. So I think it's wild that is one of the few that had a very, very dark source material that didn't get manipulated because of the toy market.
And Rambo was another one. Rambo had his own cartoon. The Rambo movies were violent and shit.
Sir, Mr. T had his own cartoon. Hulk Hogan had his own cartoon.
Yes, RoboCop had his own, and then RoboCop, the first one was violent as all hell. Like, it had his own cartoon.
So I'm playing the RoboCop game right now. It came out like 2 years ago or whatever.
Oh, the new one, yeah.
I'm on a RoboCop mode right now, so you don't want to get me started on that because the first thing I did, I broke up this like bank heist or whatever, and I get an achievement for shooting a guy in the dick, and I was like, yes.
I love some RoboCop. Look, I love all of that 90s shit, man. I love that 80s, 90s
but
shit.
RoboCop was because I love Starship Troopers. I don't think that Verhoeven has. He was very misunderstood while the movies were getting made, but then they saw the final product and they go, oh, that's why he was crazy about it. Because he had this coming.
I have, like, the
watch RoboDoc on Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah, watch RoboDoc.
What was it called?
Watch RoboDoc on Amazon if you want to go down a rabbit hole. It's a documentary about RoboCop. And they talk about RoboCop 1. They get cast and crew, people that were involved with it. They talk about scenes that were improvised. Bitches Leave. Improvised.
Really?
He just looked up and went, "Bitches, leave." And everybody, that look of just like, they're like, "Is that our cue to leave?" Like, "Bitches, leave" was, they knew that they should exit, but just the way he said it, they were like, "Oh, like, bitches, leave." But like stuff like that, like there's a lot that went into the process, and I'm obsessed with like the makings of.
Me too.
And the RoboCop was definitely where I was at. I'm watching one right now about the Simpsons, and I'm going down rabbit holes and reminiscing and seeing them from their Tracy Ullman origins to what has been beaten to death today in pop culture. So I love that kind of stuff, and the RoboCop one was really good. And I love the fact that Weller absolutely loves being RoboCop. Like, dude is RoboCop, like through and through.
I hear that he's a dick. By the way, I've heard people.
Shot a guy in the dick.
No, I'm talking. Yes, but I'm talking about in real life. I've heard that he's at cons. I've heard he's like a complete asshole.
And I've considered him, like, if the planet and stars would align and make sense, I've considered that. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, so there's a thing when you transition from fan to convention runner, you get two different celebrities in some cases. In some cases, they are absolute gems to the fans and a total bag of dicks to whoever's running the show. That's part of the course in some cases, and whatever. As long as you, the attendee, had a good time, I guess it's fine. I'll deal with it, and then you just won't be on the callback list for future events. I hate hearing that somebody is a total bag of dicks on all fronts. Like, if you just want to be, why'd you say yes? Why do you want to be a douche to everybody? Like,
yeah.
And I don't know if RoboCop is that way, but if
this
he
is why I've heard.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he is, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I would hate to hear that because I'll tell you, like, the other franchise that they directly competed with, Terminator. I've met aside from Arnold, I think I've met a good chunk of that cast. Everybody has. Edward Furlong was fantastic. He's also like 5 feet tall.
Really?
Dude was like, I was like, oh man, that's unfortunate. You stayed the same age and size as John Connor. Wow, that's unfortunate, bud. But I will tell you, him and Michael Biehn were the nicest guys I have met. Like, these two guys have no need to be at a convention scribbling their name on a bunch of alien crap, bunch of Terminator crap. They don't need to be doing that. But they were genuinely delighted. And they were, like, cracking jokes at each other. Furlong took our photo. That's like, awesome. He's like, I'll take care of it. He gets my phone, and he's like, okay. And he's like, Mike, you look terrible. Oh, no, that's just you. All right. And, like, they're just cracking jokes with each other and having, like, such a good time. And, like, Edward Furlong took the photo of us with Michael Biehn. Where the fuck does that ever happen? Like, when do you ever get that? You're not going to get Alec Baldwin to step over his table and be like, oh, you're meeting Gina Davis? Let me take that photo. No, you won't ever see that. Like, that's a wild experience. But that, for me as a fan, I was like, these guys are having a blast. They're joking. They're giving each other a hard time. They're just having fun, and that makes me want to give them even more money for another autograph or something. Like, I'm going to tell people, like, when I get back to my booth, I'm going to be like, y'all got to go see Furlong over there. Go talk to American History X. You need to go meet these guys. They are fantastic. They're the nicest guys you ever met. Oh, I don't care about that. No. I know y'all want big top tier names. You want to wait in Alec Baldwin's line for 6 years. You want to wait in Matthew Lillard's line. I try to tell people about the people that kind of get overlooked. Lachlan Monroe, nicest guy you've ever met. Love him to death. And we were happy to get stuff signed from Peacemaker and Scary Movie. And he had other products. He had all these other projects that he was in, but nobody was in his line. And I was like, y'all need to go over and see this man. You're welcome in advance. And I had a few people come back. They're like, dude, he was so awesome. I didn't know he was in this, that, and the other movie. And it all worked out. So I love doing that for the lower name, lower build celebrities. everybody's a damn celebrity.
Everybody.
You see what I do with Fright Reads? All my indie authors, they're in the website as in the same, gravity as anybody that I'm essentially flying in and paying to be there. They're in that same link. Everybody's a celebrity. You don't know who's going to be the next Stephen King. Be friends with all of them, just in case.
Yep. That's why I come to Fright Reads. I interview every single person there because I'm like, you might be the next Stephen King, and be like, wow, that guy interviewed me. I'm going to give him a shot. And
yeah, like very real world example, Adam Caesar. If you sat down with him and got 10 minutes out of him, that's 5 years from now when he's surpassing that Stephen King plateau, and he's got several movies under his belt and kind of a household name. You can always be like, hey man, remember that time I interviewed you at that book festival in Maryland? Yeah, I was looking to see if I can get an audio bit, 10-15 minutes of your time. You have a foot in the door. That's how I look at it. Don't burn bridges.
That's what I say. That's why I interview everybody.
Somebody's an absolute douche.
Yes, and it's only been in the 2 years I've been doing this. It's only been like a handful of pieces. So I mean, but that's out of hundreds of people. So I mean, that's a pretty good ratio for me. Everybody. I had an author come in. So he was supposed to be on this past one, and he didn't show up. But how he presented himself at Monster Mania, the subsequent event that I did a month or two later, dude was like, "Don't you know who I am? Don't you know? No, I don't know who you are because you didn't even show up to my event. No, I don't know who you are. But like, don't ever do that either. Like, as an author, that was like, that'll easily get you kind of blacklisted from me even caring. It won't get you to interview them if they start going, don't you know who I am? I'm a pretty big deal. My mom says I'm a good writer. I also, but I've also even told people, like when I first started doing the show, I had like 2 subscribers, and I would reach out to indie authors and so forth. Hey, of course I'm the guy with 2 subscribers, and a lot of them were like, most people were like, yeah, cool, sure, I don't give a fuck, but like there was a couple of people that were like, you only have 2 subscribers, I'm not taking that interview, and I'm like, but then those same people came around a year later, and they don't realize I never replied back to them because I have them on my shit list. I was just like,
you're a very busy man with all your followers.
Yeah, I'm a busy man too. But I mean, I was just like, I'm not going to. Now listen, if it's John Carpenter or somebody, John Carpenter could have called me a douchebag 2 years ago, and I'm like, sure, you can come on my show. But like at the same time, I'm like, I don't want people. You gotta respect everybody because you don't know where anybody's going to go, and you gotta see everybody. You just never know.
So on that token, I did was it this week? No, it was last week. I'm like, I don't even know what day it is anymore. So the previous week I had done, I'm sure both of these are going to air in similar time, maybe one before the other, and the whole timeline will be in flux, and portal will open. And be like, yeah, previously, what? That came out after. So another group of great guys that came through, similar to you, where you were like, what's this event? This sounds like our vibe. The Vampire and Devil podcast. These guys, I'm sure you saw them. They look like they fell out of a Hot Topic and started doing a podcast. I love them, and they're great dudes. And we actually talked about like how they ended up getting the ability to come into my event as press. And they're like, we have been shot down so many times because our fan base isn't as vast. We don't have a national outlet. We're not the Sun or the Capital Gazette or something crazy. We're just 2 guys that like to talk to rock and rollers and talk about vampires and horror movies and blood, and this is our thing. And you said yes, and you didn't hesitate. You were like, I checked out your stuff. All right, man, you guys seem cool. What do you need, 2 passes? And like they didn't have to beg and plead and do all that because you never know. And me as the event runner, this is what we do. This is, we get to talk about it. You get to share it to your 2 followers, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and when you were talking, I'm booked up till July. Honest God, I'm booked up till July. I was like, listen, that's my man Harry. Harry, I'll make a spot for you, man. Like, you know what I mean?
I'll get followers are going to love all of this.
Yes, they can definitely all.
But like, you don't ever judge it because, like, okay, in some cases, yes, but you'll grow. Yeah, you might have 2 followers now, but like, I got 5 people that follow me on Twitch. Has it stopped me from streaming on there? No. Should I keep streaming on Twitch? Probably not. Yes. Should I just give up? Yeah. But I won't, because it doesn't hurt me to stream it to Twitch and do what I'm doing. So I could, like, that's how, most of these YouTubers and stuff started. You don't start with 1,000,001 fans.
No.
You start with, your best friend and some schmo who stumbled upon your content and went, this is cool. You start there, and then you get 10, then you get like 50, and then before you know it, you're just like, oh my God, there's 3 million people following me. How is this a thing?
Yeah.
Fright Reads, the Facebook page, started off at like 41 people following us. I think we're in like we're probably pushing like 5,000-6,000, maybe more than that. I don't know. I didn't look. I don't really look because I don't care. Reach means nothing to me. It only goes up from there unless I piss everyone off. But you never know where somebody's going to go. Now, the only caveat to that is when somebody wants extremely special treatment and they only have a very limited following. Like, I had an author approach me and wanted to do the event, and they were like, oh, what do you mean? I have to pay and get myself there? And I'm like, yes. I'm looking at, like, I'm going on social media, I'm looking at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, literally anything, and I'm like, yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes. Because if I don't know who you are, not that I know everybody out there, but I just did my research and I still know nothing about you, I think the answer is no. It's not no forever, but when you come back at me and you got a little bit of weight under your belt with it, yeah, we'll talk. When you want me to fly you in or drive you in or whatever,
that's too much. That's too much.
What are you talking about, dude? I got friends that are authors that. So I brought his name up before, but Brian Paoni has been an Oprah's nominated book. He's been nominated for Hugo Awards. I'm not even driving his ass in. He can come up here in his DeLorean on his own time and on his own dime.
I didn't get a hotel last time I came.
Well, I'm sorry that didn't happen. If you'd have more than 2 followers.
By the way, listen. So I went from 2 followers, by the way, in no time to I'm almost at 2,000 right now. Believe it or not, I am the #1 indie horror YouTube channel, which is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but like, still to under 2,000 is the #1 when it comes to indie horror. Like, I wish there was more. Indie horror is such a niche. You know what I mean? It's such a niche. It's such a
There's an underground niche following, and people, I think they either it's kind of tacked on as a guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
I watch Zombievers because it is a bad movie, but I don't want to tell people on the street.
Yeah.
Like, you would go to somebody and be like, "Did you see that new Captain America?"
Yeah,
that would be something to interject into any general public conversation, but you can't just go, hey, anyway, I just saw, insert messed up movie here, and have everybody, like, you'll hear that record scratch, everybody stops talking, it gets weird. So I think there's still, horror still got a long way to go, indie horror especially, but horror. It's just seen as this, like, perverse, still taboo type of vibe. Not as bad as it used to be. Oh my God! Yeah. Could you imagine, like, throwing the name Frankenhooker out into the wild at a party?
But like, I recently watched, like, my co-host for another show on the channel. He I don't say he forced me, but he made me watch the August Underground trilogy movies. I don't know if you've seen those, but they're pretty fucking hardcore. You know, they're the underground snuff looking stuff, and just vulgar violence. You know,
and that's not my vibe. Terrifier's about as vulgar.
I'm not even into that, but like. But like, I couldn't tell no one who is not a horror fan.
Yeah,
I couldn't even describe to them about or have a conversation with someone who's not a horror underground.
You got to be deep into it. You want like Hostel to you is like a Sunday light watch.
Yeah, like so the people who watch my channel, I probably would never get millions of subscribers. Maybe couple 100,000, but like for me, I enjoy it. I enjoy shining the spotlight on, you know, those indie authors that no one never knows about, or like they're right there, and I like, you know, where people are not giving them interviews, or people are charging them to give interviews or something like. No, I want to interview everybody who's in indie horror. I don't care what your project is or how weird. I mean, like, I had a guy who made gay, literally gay, horror porn cards. You know what I mean? Like, I interviewed him, and I was like, okay, but that's horror. I mean, he came to me, and I was like, but like, you know.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, and you just never know.
As long as it makes sense, yeah. And that's the same way I run Fight Reads. As long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
And like, I talked to an author, so I did an event over the weekend, and I talked to an author, and she has a book where I know it's very, like, if you break it down in its core, yeah, you're like, I don't see where that fits. But then you start to compare it to, like, pop culture references and movies and stuff that exist, you start to go, I can see where that would fit at Fright Reads. Mm-hmm. She's still not convinced, but she has a book where it's a person that gets bullied, like, by her bully, you know, in and out. This is my life, you know, all the way through middle school, high school, whatever setting it is. And one day they wake up in each other's shoes, basically. They switch bodies. And they have to live as each other. And, you know, I already know the ending. They're going to realize that, you know, both of them have their own burdens, and then they come to an understanding and become best friends, roll credits. I already get that because it's happened. It's called Freaky Friday.
Yes.
Or, I mean, the horror version is Freaky. But,
Freaky, yeah.
But I'll go with Lindsay Lohan, and we'll go with Freaky Friday. And nobody asked for a sequel that's coming out.
Is there a sequel coming out?
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's Lindsay Lohan and Lindsay's daughter character and grandma that all switch out, and everybody's everywhere, and it's chaos ensues. And I was like, nobody asked for this.
No one asked for that.
I'll still see it, but nobody asked for this.
I'm not seeing it.
I'll watch it if it comes on streaming somewhere, but I'm not gonna like beat down the door to the theater. Yeah. But I brought that up. I was like, so this is very sci-fi fantasy-esque, because now we're touching into like a Freaky Friday vibe where two people switch their bodies through whatever magical intervention that happened. I don't, whoever above had made this happen, whatever magical powers that be. I said, you have that aspect. No, this is not a book for your convention. That is a horror festival. And I'm like, everybody says it's a horror festival. It's a Halloween festival. You can be everything in Halloween. Mm-hmm. You could be an astronaut. You could be a clown. You could dress up as a Pokemon. Who gives a shit? You know, Halloween is a little bit of everything. That's what Fright Reads has. It's sci-fi, horror, thriller, mystery, dystopia, kaijus, little of everything.
I bought a book from one of the authors at Fright Reads last year. Damn, I wish I knew the name. But it was a Western, and it was a Western book, and it was. I wish I knew the name of the author because it was such a damn good book. Shit. Anyway, I apologize, but it was such a good book, and like he was selling it at a horror book festival. But I bought it because it sounded like an interesting story.
And that's the thing. Like, you might get an author that does 10 horror books, but then has this like weird offshoot where they just wanted to try something different, and that might be the book that vibes with you. I tell them, I'm like, bring your whole collection. I'm not telling you only bring your murdery scary book. Bring your paranormal romance. Bring your, if it's like Twilight, bring that thing. I don't know. Somebody will buy it. Somebody somewhere will stumble upon it. Because what's funny is, at an event like Fright Reads, or where I learned at Monster Mania, my favorite was there was a lady standing near my table, and I was like, hey, do you like horror books? She's like, I don't do horror. And I looked around. Meanwhile, there's 3 bloody Art the Clown standing nearby. And I'm like, the Target is actually just down the road. Hang a right. Because this is not where you want to be. If you don't like horror, period, this is not the spot for you. What I try to do is, you have to already have the conception that somebody is tagging along with somebody, a spouse or a brother, somebody's being drug along. Yep. And my favorite thing is you'll talk to people and they're like, yeah, I don't read. My wife does the reading. And I'm like, cool. You like movies? Yeah. All right. You like, whatever special guest I have. I'm like, do you like People Under the Stairs? Oh, dude, that movie is so gnarly. Well, that's who I have there. Now you going to come? I try to cater towards the whole group. If you don't like horror, horror is gross. You like Agatha Christie whodunits? Oh my God, I love those. Well, guess what? I have author X, Y, and Z, and you can go see the Cozy Mystery People. That's what I like about what it is. So you finding a Western is, you didn't go in there with the intention like, I'm looking for some cowboy shit. You looked at the table and said, what's that cowboy book doing there?
Yeah, I was like, this is interesting. And I was sold. He told me the story. But there was a guy there too. Shit, man, I wish I took notes. There was one he did. He had a superhero book. And I bought that too, and that was an excellent read.
Yeah. There's,
I felt bad that I don't know the name of these books, but
they were great books.
Yeah, they were great books.
Best. So, mystery author, you wrote a great book.
Yes, they were great books, and they were at a horror convention, a book festival, selling non-horror books, and I bought them.
And that's the thing. It's a Halloween festival. Mm-hmm. I know you dressed up as a superhero growing up as a kid. You 100%. Got some plastic superhero cape.
Still do as a grown-ass man. Still do as a grown-ass man. Yes.
But I'm saying, like, peak Halloween as a kid, all of us had a superhero costume. Superhero makes sense to me. You got princesses. Dude, I had the fairy godmother. It doesn't get more out of pocket than that. Like, that made zero. They were like, oh, she's so bubbly. And I'm like, bro, she's a witch. By definition, she is a witch or wizard type of character. She grants wishes. She's the fairy godmother. She bippity boppity boos and makes carriages and does a whole bunch of sorcery.
Yep.
How does that not fit? And then somebody went, well, I guess so. That's kind of a stretch. And I'm like, it literally is not.
It's not.
It is not a stretch. So I was trying to, like, tell this lady, I'm like, it's Freaky Friday vibes. That's a science fiction. That's fantasy. I said, that's the vibes that it's putting out. It's not for whatever, dude. I'm not fighting you. I don't care. I'm not here to twist arms. You reached out to me. I tried to convince you otherwise. I don't know why I'm trying to convince you. You reached out to me to get a table. You don't go, I'd like to get a table, but I don't think I fit. Yeah. I always encourage people. I'm like, if you feel like you're not part of the vibe, email me. If you email me and you're like, hey, I got this book that I wrote, but it's kind of like Scooby-Doo. Would that fit? Like, I read Meddling Kids. That's a Scooby-Doo book. It's literally supposed to be playing on the tropes of Scooby-Doo and literally parodies of the characters. But yeah, a Scooby-Doo book would fit. Listen to the soundtrack at Fright Reads. Bro, I got 3 versions of the Scooby-Doo theme song.
Yeah.
Yes, it fits.
100%.
Hocus Pocus fits. Disney crap fits. All of it works. Like, it's surprising how much does.
And that's why I love it. By the way, to those two mystery authors, their books are going to be down in the description with their names. So please grab those amazing books. Harry, listen, where can everyone find you and way to Halloween and Fright Reads? And all your books and work too, man.
So for the books, you're going to go to hcarpenterwriter.com. That's my actual website. Or you can just go on Amazon or any local bookstores and tell them you want to read my crappy books, and they'll track you down and find where they're at. I know several Barnes and Nobles in the area have them. Curmudgeon, Capricos Books, a bunch of places have my book, so they should just have it on hand. But that's probably the easiest way. The internet is your friend. Just look up any of my titles. If you don't want to support Bezos and his giant dong-shaped rockets, I'm still going to bring back that joke because that was like, what, 6 years ago? 7? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to support that, great, fine. I don't care. I don't care wherever you buy my book. Use that as a jumping board for title, book cover, so you know what you're looking for, and then take it to an indie store and give them the ISBN. They should be able to order it. It's in their catalog. So however you get it, or alternatively, I have a calendar of events, and you can track me down in person. And you can tell me how much you hated my books or how much you love them, either or. I am good with both. And you can buy them from me personally. In that calendar of events, you'll find a lovely event called Halfway to Halloween by Fright Reads. That is going to be happening at the end of April, the 26th. We're going to be at Marley Station Mall. Tickets are available online. It's a super cool event. It's all ages, and I know everybody goes, all ages means for kids. No, it means for everyone. Like these hands, they're rated E for everyone.
I like that.
I love that joke. But then you can fast forward several more months later to the bigger show, which is going to be Fright Reads Book Festival number 5. We're on our half decade. So we're doing some big, cool things there. We got a handful of awesome guests. We got tons of great authors, lots of cool crafters. Just the list goes on. For me to list everybody, this stream would go on for 6 hours. So I would say go to, for both events, frightreads.com. Frightreads.com will take you to a landing page, and there are 2 respective links. One will say Halfway to Halloween. One says Fright Reads Book Festival. Pick whichever one that you're trying to go to, and you will see the guest list, the schedules, the pertinent details of how to park, how to get there, and more importantly, where to buy tickets. That's probably the catch-all, aside from follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and that'll be the latest and greatest info.
Love it. Listen, and also, if you go on there too, you can purchase your tickets to go see Blood and Breakfast and Shriek Show in advance,
which are separate from the festival.
Yes.
So I'm not even making you come to my dumb little book festival. You can actually just go see a movie, support indie artists and their craft, and then leave. I don't even need to know you were there. That's the best part. But I would encourage you to take advantage of 2 things that we've done. We have the Family Pass, which gives you couple of grown-up tickets and a couple of kids tickets, and that gets you into the festival. But we also have the 2 for movie pack. You can get both movies for $14, or they're $8 individually. So you can save $2 and see 2 fantastic movies. I'm going to say fantastically terrible movies because that's what they are. Let's be honest. They're fantastic, but they're that good kind of fun that we like, the cheeseball fun. So you definitely don't want to miss out. They are rated grown up. There's no rating because it's like streaming oriented, but I would have to say it's probably rated R for both. So if you do take the kiddos, very, very high discretion. I would probably discretionally say probably not.
I would totally agree.
But for the grown-ups out there, definitely knock yourselves out, have a blast. Go see the movies, and then come down the hallway and visit all of the awesome authors, see the cast and crew at their tables once the films are done. It'll be an absolute blast. And then, of course, you can track down Travis for a autograph.
Yes, I'll be walking around recording. And also, you have to get to see me in Blood and Breakfast. Of course, I'm a black guy in a horror movie, so you know how that's going to turn out. So,
So there's an author that I want to get, and I have to just hit her up. She has a book called "The Black Girl Lives in This One," and I was just like, I don't know why I need this. I need her, and I need that book.
I love that.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you continue with the stereotypical trope.
I do not make it to the end, everyone. Spoiler alert. But but it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. So definitely check them out, and also check out the Shriek Show.
Both films have a knockout cast. With I know you're in one of them, but realistically, you're alongside of Beatrice, one of our guests, and wasn't Nancy Ann Ritter in that one as well?
Nancy Ann Ritter is there. Also got Brady Dalton, who's actually going to be at halfway to Halloween throwing autographs.
But we had Nancy last year. Yeah, but we had Nancy last year as a special guest. So, the lady from the bathroom of Scream, she was in there. And then on the flip side, Shriek Show, Felissa Rose.
Who's like absolutely a doll.
How do we have, like, I would love to have had all of these different people in. I know Nancy's schedule and Felissa's schedule did not allow, but I was like, I would kill to have them. But yeah, you have knockout, just legendary people in roles in both of these respective films. Huge. So I mean, you're in for a treat, and you're going to see. I've seen Felissa in several other movies, like was it Ugly Sweater Party? Terrible movie. Loved every second of it.
She's in tons of them, but the best movie that I've seen Felissa Rose in, and it's a gruesome kill for her too, is The Craving, which got the Horror Room Best Indie Movie Award. 2 years ago. So it's an amazing movie. The Craving.
That's solid. Yeah. But yeah, they're in the cast. They unfortunately will not be at our event, but these are folks that knock out legendary people that are in that grace the screen that you can go see. So you're in for a treat. It'll be a blast.
Exactly. Actually, I think I have a copy of the movie over here. Let me see if I can grab it. I rarely stand up. Is this it?
Yeah.
By the way, Harry, we've met in person. Most people think that I am a short guy until they meet me and they realize that I'm a fucking giant. Most people are like, "Oh, well, sitting on the screen, like you look like you're a short guy." I'm like, "No, I'm 6'4".
I do not the same thing, but I did meet you, and I was like, "It's rare to find somebody taller than me."
Yes, here it is, right here. Blood and Breakfast.
Hey, look at that guy.
Grab your copy. I mean, look at that. Look at that.
There we
it's
go.
Nice and bloody. All right.
Still got the plastic wrap on it. Is that what I saw?
Got the plastic. Yes, it's got a plastic wrap on it. This is it's autographed and everything, but the whole entire cast. So
yeah, people don't get that you're tall. That. I'm 6'1", and I remember meeting you, and I was like, "All right, hi."
Everybody always thinks I don't. Do I look short on camera or something? But everybody's they meet in person. They're like, damn, you don't look tall.
Well, people do that with me, but then you're even taller than me.
Yeah.
So it's like it just gets progressively worse because I'll have people. I have a couple of vendors that are like very vertically challenged, and they're like, "Can you take a knee or something? Sit in a chair. I'm tired of looking up like this." But we had So you saw did you happen to catch the year that we had Ari Lehman first Jason?
No, I wasn't there.
That was 2 years ago. Yeah, okay. I was like, I don't know what year it was. I think it was 2 years ago. We had Ari there, and I brought my buddy Keith in. He is, I think he's 6'6" or 6'7". They don't build him like that. My God, he's a big boy. And people were just intimidated. And I was like, good. We had him dressed as Jason Voorhees walking around the event. So dude's like this just brick shit house of a human where I basically barely come up to his nipples. So dude's massive and just the sweetest guy you've ever met. He's so nice. But yeah, when you think you're tall, there's always somebody bigger.
It's always someone taller. There's always someone taller.
Oh, yeah. And then you feel bad because you're like, think of all the short people. Think of what
I
they had to do with
know.
me.
I feel so.
You're
I
like,
feel
you all have to do
sorry
this?
for sure people. Look, I was literally in the grocery store the other day, and another guy asked me to get something off the top shelf for him, and he was like, "Short people are
All the
problems,"
time.
and I was
All the
like,
time.
I felt bad. That sucks.
There was a lady at Walmart, and she was just trying to find staff. She's like, I just want this box up here, and I was like, this box?
Yes, it's like you
Like,
have
I barely
superpowers.
reached. But
It's
that
just like
lady
you have
was like
superpowers
5 feet
control.
tall. It's wild.
And it's like being over 6 feet tall. It's like you're a super. By the way, we're only 10% of men who are over 6 feet tall. It's only ranks up 10% of the whole entire world. We're only
Yeah, yeah.
we're very rare. It's like having a superpower. It really is. It's because we
It
can
is.
reach everything, but we can't fit everywhere. We cannot fit everywhere. We cannot fit in small cars.
Yeah.
We can't fit in. We can't
There-
fit
there's
on
a-
planes.
There's a
Planes
reason
suck.
why I got kicked out of Chuck E. Cheese like 15 years ago because I got stuck in a fight. Like, you're too damn big to be in there. And I was like, well, I didn't think so. At the time, it seemed like a good idea. And I was making my way through. I didn't realize I get wedged in with my knees and my back. And here I am.
But this is like me, like on a plane. I'm like this the whole entire time. I'm like, oh, shit, this is so uncomfortable.
I have to pay the extra for the economy plus, whatever I can do to get that extra leg room. Otherwise, dude,
I
at the
hate when short
Hippodrome,
people. I hate
the
when
Hippodrome
short
is really
people always get the aisle seat. Like short people stay towards the window in the middle. It doesn't affect
I need to put my leg out.
It's for tall people. Leave that for us, okay?
I need my knee to dangle. I need something. But like the Hippodrome is absolutely murder to me. I don't know if you've seen one of their productions, you know, at any show there, but go there as a tall person. You will have your knees literally inside of the chair in front of you. My kneecaps literally go over top like a muffin top. That's how tight the chair is. The lady
Actually, no, I did go to Hippodrome. Yes. I went to see Mystery Science Theater was doing a show there.
Oh,
and for my birthday, and I went.
Yeah.
And yes, my legs were definitely like this.
They're 2 miles
I
down.
was explaining to. Yes.
You needed to buy the seat in front of you too.
It was absolute horrible. I mean, it says tall. This is tall dude with problems we're talking about. All right, listen, Harry, listen.
Yeah.
I'm going to see you in April. Everybody, get your asses out in April so you can see Harry, myself, all the amazing authors, guests, and also check out Blood and Breakfast and Shriek
with the super glare. Twist that bad boy.
It's
there it is. There it is.
There we go. Bam. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's my man, Harry Carpenter. We'll see you next time. Take care.
There you go.